I got the dirt. Someone axed Kirk for their sick game. I know who ordered Kirk's hit. Someone's hiding, scared.
New witness claims Charlie Kirk's widow might be involved. It was all planned. In the shadows of a tragedy that shook the conservative world, a bombshell revelation has emerged that could rewrite everything we thought we knew about Charlie Kirk's assassination. A mysterious new witness, speaking from the fringes of the investigation, has dropped a claim so explosive it threatens to unravel the entire narrative. Charlie's widow was not just a grieving spouse, but a key player in a meticulously orchestrated plot. It was all planned, the witness insists, pointing to hidden communications and suspicious timings that suggest the fatal shot wasn't the work of a lone gunman, but part of a deeper scheme involving those closest to Kirk. This isn't mere speculation. Details are surfacing that paint a picture of betrayal from within, where love turned to leverage and loyalty masked a calculated endgame. The air in conservative circles has thickened with unease ever since September's chaos, when Charlie Kirk, the fiery voice of Turning Point USA, fell to an assassin's bullet during what should have been a routine event. Official accounts painted it as a random act of violence, a stark reminder of the dangers faced by outspoken leaders. But now, this witness, described as someone with intimate knowledge of the days leading up to the shooting, has stepped forward with a story that flips the script. He alleges that conversations overheard and documents glimpsed reveal the widow's hand in coordinating elements of the event, from security lapses to post-incident maneuvers that ensured the story aligned just right. She knew the risks, but she amplified them, the witness claims, hinting at motives tied to personal gain, internal power struggles, and perhaps even a desire to reshape Kirk's legacy in her image. What makes this claim hit harder is the timing. Just weeks after the assassination, as the nation mourned, whispers began circulating about anomalies in the widow's behavior. Friends and colleagues noted her rapid pivot from shock to control, issuing statements that steered the narrative toward heroism while sidelining questions about the venue's vulnerabilities. The witness builds on this, recounting a late-night meeting where the widow allegedly discussed contingencies with unnamed associates, contingencies that eerily mirrored the events of that fateful day. If true, it suggests not just involvement, but orchestration, a plan where the gunman was the visible tip of a hidden iceberg, with the widow pulling strings from the safest distance. Candace Owens, never one to shy from controversy, has latched onto these developments with her signature intensity. In a recent broadcast, she dissected the witness's account, her voice laced with a mix of sorrow and fury. When the people we trust most become the architects of our downfall, that's when the real war begins, she declared, urging listeners to connect the dots themselves. Owens pointed to discrepancies in the widow's timeline. Calls made in the hours before the shooting that went unexplained, and a sudden influx of funds to accounts linked to her inner circle post-event. She didn't stop at accusation. She framed it as a betrayal of everything Kirk stood for: truth, resilience, and unyielding principle. Owens' words ignited a firestorm, drawing in supporters who see her as the torchbearer for Kirk's unfinished mission. But the witness's testimony goes deeper, peeling back layers that official probes glossed over. He describes a pattern of isolation in Kirk's final weeks, where the widow increasingly controlled access to him, filtering communications and scheduling that left him exposed. It wasn't protection, it was positioning, the witness asserts, recalling instances where security protocols were deliberately loosened under her influence. One chilling detail: a rehearsal for the event where mock threats were downplayed, allegedly at her insistence, to avoid unnecessary alarm. The gunman's approach, swift and unhindered, now appears less like a breach and more like a facilitated path. This revelation forces a re-evaluation of the autopsy details, where initial reports of a single entry wound clash with forensic whispers of angled trajectories that imply staging or multiple actors. Turning Point USA, the organization Kirk built from the ground up, finds itself at the epicenter of this storm. Insiders report fractures within the ranks, with some board members quietly endorsing the witness's claims as a way to purge what they see as corrupting influences. The widow, once a fixture at TPUSA events, has retreated from public view. But not before a flurry of internal memos surfaced, suggesting she lobbied for narrative control in the aftermath. "Preserve the mission at all costs," one memo read. Yet the witness counters that this was code for suppressing inconvenient truths. Andrew Cave, a longtime TPUSA strategist, broke his silence in a tense interview, admitting that questions about loyalty have arisen, and they demand answers. His words, measured but pointed, hint at a reckoning where the widow's role could dismantle alliances forged over years. The plot thickens with financial threads that the witness unravels like a loose seam. Allegations swirl around offshore transfers timed suspiciously close to the assassination, funneled through entities tied to the widow's family. These weren't random. They aligned with discussions of post-Kirk transitions, where control of TPUSA's assets and intellectual property would shift decisively. The witness claims to have seen drafts of agreements that positioned her as the steward of Kirk's empire, complete with clauses that insulated her from scrutiny. In a conservative movement built on fiscal transparency, this revelation strikes at the heart, suggesting the assassination wasn't just political violence, but a heist masked in mourning. Candace Owens doubles down in her follow-up analysis, revealing excerpts from what she calls forgotten correspondences, emails and notes that paint the widow as ambitious beyond her public persona. "Charlie built this. She wanted to inherit it unchallenged," Owens posits, her tone shifting from investigator to avenger. She recounts a dreamlike vision shared by Kirk's close allies, where he appeared restless, warning of wolves in sheep's clothing among his inner circle. Whether subconscious or prophetic, it fueled Owens's resolve, leading her to collaborate with the witness for a deeper dive. Their joint efforts uncovered venue logs showing the widow's team overriding standard protocols, allowing unvetted personnel near critical areas. The gunman's infiltration, once deemed impossible, now seems engineered. Public reaction has been visceral, with forums and broadcasts alive with debate. Some defend the widow as a victim of grief-fueled paranoia, but the witness's specificity dismantles that. Timestamps on deleted messages, witness corroborations from event staff, and even a cryptic journal entry from Kirk himself expressing unease about home-front threats. This last detail, shared by Owens, humanizes the horror. Kirk, ever vigilant against external foes, blind to the betrayal brewing closest. The journal spoke of doubts, of feeling watched even in rest, phrases that now echo like foreshadowing. As investigators circle, the widow's camp has mounted a defense, but cracks show. A spokesperson's vague assurances of full cooperation ring hollow against the witness's vivid recollections. He describes a post-shooting huddle where the widow directed the flow of information, prioritizing image over inquiry. The plan was to frame it as martyrdom, but the execution revealed too much, he says, implying a rush to judgment that buried leads pointing inward. Forensic experts, poring over ballistics, note inconsistencies in the bullet's path, suggesting possible deflection or setup. Details the witness ties directly to alterations in the stage layout approved by her. The emotional toll weighs heavy. Kirk's supporters, from young activists to seasoned donors, grapple with the idea that his end was premeditated by love turned lethal. Owens captures this in a poignant monologue. Charlie's voice was silenced, not by a bullet alone, but by the hands that should have shielded him. She pledges to amplify the witness, vowing exposés that will force accountability. Donors like John Mappin, once steadfast, have voiced support, penning open letters demanding unredacted records and independent audits of TPUSA's leadership transitions. Yet the witness warns of resistance. Retaliatory moves, from legal threats to character smears, have already surfaced, aimed at discrediting him as a disgruntled opportunist. But his details hold firm. A overheard phone call where the widow mused, "After this, it'll all be mine," uttered in the quiet before the storm. Such quotes, chilling in retrospect, fuel theories of a broader network, perhaps rivals within conservatism eyeing TPUSA's influence, with the widow as the willing conduit. The assassination's ripple effects extend to policy and movement dynamics. Kirk's death galvanized calls for protection, but if planned internally, it exposes vulnerabilities in trust that could splinter alliances. Owens envisions a purge, A return to Kirk's core tenets untainted by opportunism. This isn't closure. It's combustion, she asserts, predicting revelations that will redefine loyalty. In the quiet aftermath, the witness stands resolute, his claim a beacon piercing the fog. It was all planned, from the shadows she cast to the light she now claims. As scrutiny intensifies, the conservative world holds its breath, wondering if truth will prevail, or if the plot's architects will bury it deeper. The story of Charlie Kirk, once a tale of valor, now teeters on the edge of conspiracy, with the widow at its precarious center. One revelation at a time, the veil lifts, and what emerges may shatter more than illusions. It could forge a fiercer resolve. But let's delve further into the witness's background, for his credibility hinges on proximity. Not a distant observer, he was embedded in Kirk's orbit, handling logistics for high-profile engagements. His vantage point afforded glimpses into private deliberations, where the widow's influence loomed large. He recalls strategy sessions derailed by her interventions, prioritizing optics over security. She'd say, "Charlie's too bold for caution," but it masked intent, he explains, linking her dismissals to the event's fatal flaws. Forensic puzzles abound. The bullet's caliber, mismatched with typical assassin profiles, suggests procurement from specialized sources. Channels the witness alleges were accessed via the widow's connections. Ballistic reports, scrutinized anew, reveal rifling patterns inconsistent with street weapons, pointing to custom fabrication. Owens, consulting experts off-air, highlights how such anomalies align with premeditation, not impulse. TPU-SA's internal audit, leaked in fragments, exposes board divisions. Some members advocate distancing from the widow, citing her post-assassination maneuvers, like rapid asset reallocations, as red flags. Cave's admission evolves into calls for transparency, with him stating, "Legacy demands dissection, not deference." Donors echo this, withholding funds until clarity emerges. The widow's response, through proxies, invokes privacy and healing, but the witness counters with timelines. Her swift media appearances contrasted with evasive probes. A key moment, footage from the event showing her composure amid panic, directing aides with precision. Interpreted by some as strength, the witness frames it as rehearsal payoff. Owens's crusade intensifies, her platform a war room for truth. She shares anonymized docs, schedules altered last minute, security bypassed, building a case brick by brick. Charlie deserved warriors, not weavers of webs, she laments, invoking his spirit as motivation. Broader implications loom. If validated, this implicates a web of complicity, from event planners to financial backers, challenging conservatism's unity. Theories proliferate. Was it ideological purge or personal empire building? The witness leans latter, citing the widow's pre-event overtures to rivals, sowing seeds of transition. Public sentiment shifts, with vigils turning inquisitive. Chants of truth for Charlie blend grief and demand, pressuring authorities. Owens predicts indictments, her resolve unyielding. Silence is surrender. We fight on. As November dawns, the case evolves, witness protections invoked amid threats. His mantra, "It was all planned," resonates, a call to vigilance. Kirk's assassination, once closed, reopens as saga of intrigue, with the widow's shadow lengthening. The pursuit endures, truth's flame unquenched. Expanding on motives, the witness posits inheritance as catalyst. Kirk's will, reportedly contested, positioned the widow favorably, but contingencies suggested foresight. Financials show spikes in her ventures, post-death. Time to exploit sympathy waves. Allies recall Kirk's final days, withdrawn, confiding doubts about unseen pressures. Journal entries, per Owens, warn of domesticated dangers, poignant now. Legal fronts heat, subpoenas loom for widow's records, TPUS bracing. Cave's faction pushes reforms, echoing Kirk's ethos. Owens's emotional arc, from ally to inquisitor, mirrors movements. Her vow, "For Charlie, we unearth all." The witness's final plea, "Scrutiny saves souls." In this labyrinth, one truth pierces. Planned or not, betrayal's cost is eternal vigilance. Imagine the voice that's grilled presidents, probed UFO insiders, and sparred with scientists dropping a bombshell so massive it could crack the foundation of power itself. Joe Rogan, podcast titan and fearless truth seeker, just unleashed a relentless exposé on the shadowy forces behind Charlie Kirk's shocking demise. This isn't just another episode, it's a gut-punch revelation, naming names and unmasking a chilling conspiracy that points to a meticulously planned hit ordered from the highest echelons of influence. Rogan's digging has uncovered a web of coded messages, vanished evidence, and elite players who saw Kirk's rising star as a threat too dangerous to let shine. Buckle up, because what Joe Rogan revealed isn't just a theory, it's a blazing torch lighting up the darkest corners of control, and the names he's dropped could bring giants to their knees. The firestorm kicked off during a 3-hour special of the Joe Rogan Experience, broadcast live from a fortified studio in Austin, Texas, with the energy dialed to 11. Rogan, eyes blazing, leaned into his mic and declared, "Charlie Kirk didn't just get taken out. He was targeted by people who don't play by our rules." His guest, a former intelligence operative turned whistleblower known only as Shade, nodded grimly, their face obscured by a digital mask to shield their identity. Rogan didn't waste time, diving straight into a timeline that shredded the official narrative of Kirk's death as a lone gunman's act. "This was a hit, plain and simple," Rogan said, his voice a mix of fury and focus. "And I've got the receipts to prove who ordered it." He pulled up a grainy image on screen, a redacted document allegedly from a private security firm, stamped with a cryptic seal and detailing neutralization protocols with Kirk's name circled in red ink. "This isn't speculation," Rogan stressed. "This is their playbook, and Charlie was at the top of their list."
I know who pulled Kirk's hit. Someone feared his moral war?
Shade, a figure with decades in covert ops, laid out the first bombshell. Kirk had stumbled onto a trove of financial records linking global NGOs to a network of political operatives pushing a unified agenda. "Charlie was about to blow the lid off," Shade revealed, their distorted voice cutting through the air. "He had dirt, bank transfers, encrypted emails, showing funds flowing from elite donors to groups orchestrating chaos to control narratives." Rogan interjected, connecting this to Kirk's final weeks, when he'd hinted on air about game-changing leaks involving a shadow coalition. According to Shade, Kirk's team had intercepted communications detailing a meeting in a private Zurich estate, where key figures allegedly greenlit his elimination. "They called him a disruptive asset," Shade said. "Not a person, a threat to their machine." The podcast took a darker turn as Rogan unveiled a leaked audio clip, purportedly from a burner phone tied to a high-level fixer. The voice, cold and methodical, instructed, "Kirk's rally is the window. Make it clean, make it chaotic." Rogan paused the clip, letting the weight sink in. "This isn't some random nutcase," he said. "This is someone with access, resources, and a direct line to the top." Shade backed this up, claiming the fixer's IP traced to a server hub in Langley, Virginia. Not CIA, but a private contractor with ties to global think tanks. Rogan's team, leveraging AI tools, cross-referenced the voice print with public speeches, landing on a chilling match. A prominent philanthropist known for funding democracy initiatives worldwide. "I'm not saying the name yet," Rogan teased, "but you know who's got the kind of pull to make this happen." The plot thickened with the introduction of Tara Flynn, a former aide to Kirk who'd gone quiet after his death. Flynn joined via a secure video feed, her face pale but resolute. "Joe reached out with evidence I couldn't ignore," she said, describing how Kirk's inner circle noticed oddities before the hit. Unfamiliar staff at venues, sudden tech glitches during his streams. "Charlie knew he was being watched," Flynn revealed. "He told me, 'Tara, if I go down, it's not random. Check the money trail.'" Rogan displayed a chart mapping funds from offshore accounts to shell companies tied to the rally's logistics. "This is where it gets terrifying," he said. "The same accounts funded security overrides that left Charlie exposed." Flynn added a gut-wrenching detail. Kirk's phone had been remotely wiped hours after the incident, erasing his last messages. Except for one, a cryptic note to Flynn. "The summit knows." Rogan's intensity ramped up as he introduced Dr. Elias Kane, a forensic tech expert who'd analyzed crime scene data. Kane, appearing in a dimly lit lab, held up a 3D printed model of the bullet fragments recovered from Kirk. These aren't standard, he said, pointing to microscopic etchings. Military grade.